Hi guys, how is it possible that Ed Davey, the leader of the Liberal Democrats, is doing a better job at standing up to Nigel frigging Farage than the Labour government are? So he dropped a few truth bombs here when it came to immigration and Brexit. Wonderful stuff. Have a listen to this.
Attracting people to our country, and that's the fact that we no longer have a returns agreement with 27 European countries. Before Brexit, under the Dublin Convention, under rules in Europe, we could return people. We didn't have a small boats problem when we were in the European Union, and because we no longer
people came on lorries then.
Yeah, but they could be returned, and we did return some people. And my point is this: because we can't return them legally now, as we used to be able to do, we're seeing many more people come to our country. The magnet of people coming to our country because they can't go to elsewhere in Europe because they're returned, they're coming here because they can't be returned now, that magnet was caused by the Conservatives, by Boris Johnson and by Nigel Farage. We really need to have a proper debate about why has this problem come about, and I think a lot of it goes down to the Conservatives' failed immigration system, which they should apologise for, and Brexit caused by the likes of Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage.
Well said. You know, this is the truth. The reason why immigration has increased is because the UK used to rely on a transient workforce from the European Union. People from mainly Eastern Europe coming to Britain to work in fields, picking fruit and vegetables. People from Europe, working in the care sector, working in the NHS, working in the hospitality sector, working in pretty much every industry. So a lot of workers came from the European Union. But when Brexit happened and Europeans couldn't come in like they could before, well, these sectors still needed workers. Now, the response from the Tories and Brexiteers is, well, we just get British people to do these jobs. Well, that didn't work out very well, did it? So businesses had to bring in workers, universities had to bring in students from abroad, and they had to find them from further afield. And as I've mentioned before, if you're coming from Europe, on a short-haul flight, you're not going to bring your family with you because you don't have to. But if you're coming from Pakistan, if you're coming from India, if you're coming from South America, if you're coming from Africa, you're more likely to bring family with you because you're going to spend more time away from them. So if you have a bit of money, you're earning a bit of money and you're bringing in better wages than from abroad, then of course you're going to try and bring your family with you. And because the ironic thing is, because the Conservatives try to make it more difficult for people to access visas, to come in via legal routes, then of course, if you're desperate to bring your family with you or you're desperate to get into the country, you'll find an alternative. And this, of course, has been the small boats. Now, it's insane that the focus has been on the small boats when it represents just 5% of the people coming in. The other 95% is based on visas, be it student visas, work visas, or whatever. The politicians are focusing on that, but it's right that Ed Davey calls this out, says that the Conservatives are responsible for a broken immigration system, and Nigel Farage is responsible for Brexit because the rising numbers are a result of Brexit, and no one is calling Nigel Farage out over that. Why is the Labour government not pointing the finger of blame for rising immigration numbers at Nigel Farage? At Brexit. It's like the government are still afraid that they're going to upset the red wall. I had said before the election, okay, I understand, or I was trying to understand, why the government was not criticising Brexit. I thought, okay, they don't want to rock the boat, they don't want to upset the apple cart, they don't want to upset those voters in the red wall. They believe that they need them to win the election. Okay, but the election is over. You can now criticise Brexit, but we're not hearing very much criticism of Brexit. More, well, we're going to make it work. Or if there are problems with Brexit, it's not Brexit itself, it's the Tory version of Brexit. No, Brexit is the problem. And finally, somebody is calling it out. Now, the Greens have constantly called it out, but they're not getting much airtime. Ed Davey here is saying the problem here is, of course, Brexit. And who sold Brexit to the public? Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage. And Nigel Farage is selling himself as the solution to the immigration issue. It couldn't get any more insane. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.